Hello and welcome to episode 65 of RiffRaff. For those following along at home, you have missed 64 episodes. I'm only joking, we're not releasing them in any sort of proper order. My name's Ed Morine, famous pole vaulter. With me is famous pole vaulter Alex Ravenhall.
That's actually how we met. We were at the Olympics in, was it 08, I think?
It was in 08. We were pole vaulting in opposite directions.
Yeah, for opposite nationalities as well. You were Scotland, I was Wales, which is ironic because neither of us have any Scottish or Welsh nationality in us.
It was a fluke. The qualifications were a complete fluke. Anyway, we were pole vaulting in opposite directions, and we both catapulted ourselves into. I catapulted myself into the shot put, and the problem is that when I travel through the air fast enough, I read as a shot put.
I see.
Spherical and small and hard.
You're very dense as a person. Like you've all your mass is very concentrated into quite a small space.
Yes. So a very muscly, sweaty man caught me in his right arm and threw me all the way back across the Chinese playing field, and I was catapulted straight into you, still holding my shot put.
You were the shot put.
Still holding my javelin.
Yeah.
Still holding my javelin. I was a shot put holding a javelin. It looked like a meatball with a raw piece of spaghetti, and I skewered you. I seem to remember.
Yeah, well, you didn't skewer me. You took out my appendix, which ironically it had just burst. So as I was running up for my pole vault on the other end of the room, I got a horrific pain in my chest, and I thought, my God, my appendix has burst. I need to have this removed immediately, or I might die. And as luck would have it, out of nowhere, you come in, skewer me. Literally, my appendix is hanging off the edge of this thing, and I'm like, gee whiz, Ed, you just saved my life. And you were like, yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to do. Shall we kick off the actual show?
Yes, okay, yes, do that.
That'll be fun to edit. Okay, here we go. Our options are several. But what we're actually doing, Ed, is pundits. Me and you, Ed, we're going to become experts on a sport. That's it. This one's going to be fun. So the sport obviously has never been discussed on live air before because it's an up-and-coming sport, and it's our job to help promote it. First thing I need, Ed, and this can be hard without saying the sport, but I need to know who you are as a pundit. Are you an ex-player? Are you a manager? What is your history with the game, and who are you?
I'm definitely an ex-player. I'm a silver-haired, arguably overpaid pundit from the Midlands who has grown old gracefully and at some point in the past few years has started wearing big glasses.
Okay, that's quite abstract actually. See me, I'm this rather balding northern fellow who seems to follow you around all the time. So whenever you're broadcasting, I just seem to appear out of nowhere, and everyone's like, oh, he's turned up. And my name is Adam Gira, and I am once again an ex-player in a different position to you, arguably more successful. And as fans of the sport, when they come past me, they go, Gira. And I'm like, wait, hey lads, cut it out. I'm filming me bloody show with... What's your character's name? I'm Adam Gira. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. What is your silver fox fellow?
I'm Barry Line-Carr. It's double-barreled.
Oh, I see. Barry
Line-Carr.
How do you spell car in your...
With two R's at the end.
Two R's. Like a certain Alan. Okay, so let's give the sport a name. I want you to shout a word at me. I'm going to shout a word back. You will shout a third word, and then we'll say ball. And that is the game, okay?
Okay.
So you kick us off, Ed. Or should I say, Barry Line-Carr, what is the first part of this sport that we play?
Okay. Indoor.
Rumple.
Okay, indoor rumple net
Ball.
ball.
Indoor rumple netball. Now, unlike popular belief, it has no connection to either netball or indoor rumple, both prolific sports in their own right. Now,
I've got the Panini indoor rumple sticker collection.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, didn't we all? Back in the 08 season, my God, there was some great indoor rumple played. Now, so the two sports, the three sports never the twain shall meet. They are completely separate in their own rights. First thing I need from you, Ed, Barry Line-Carr, for new listeners of our fantastic show, where did you play and what was your history with the game?
I played for the Newbold on Stour Strikers.
Sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
Sorry. We're quite big. The Newbold on Stour Strikers.
Oh, of course you play in the Fantasy Premier League. It's not actually fantasy.
Yeah.
It's just sponsored by Fantasy Books.
And if you want to know the abbreviation, which is how we're more popularly known, Newbold on Stour Strikers, it's NOS.
Ah, and that's how you got that rather unfortunate sponsor, didn't you? You got a bit of trouble for that one, didn't you? When NOS kind of started sponsoring your games. I remember that. The big hoo-ha in 07. Bloody hell, man. It was pretty crazy back then. I watched the documentary, though, and you came across proper good, man. You look proper nice.
Well, thank you. I gave them 4 hours of interview, and they only used the 2 minutes where I talk about the huge amount of NOS I used up in the year.
Well, I think it's important we play that clip now.
Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry, I'll just press play on the thing.
In 07, Barry Line-Carr, professional indoor rumple netball player, was caught at an outdoor party in Lancaster with a considerable amount of NOS. We managed to sit down with him to discuss his relationship to the NOS and if it was affected by the sponsorship. Barry, great to see you.
People talk about this as if it's something bad, but you can just do as much NOS as you want. Continue to be the most successful indoor rumple netball player in the country. I think it's amazing. My mum does it. My gran does it. Stephen Hawking does it.
Who is actually not Stephen Hawking you might think. We're talking about indoor rumple netball left wing back for the Mud Slappers, Stephen Hawking.
You see, in that clip there, Alan, I don't think I sound like me at all.
It's interesting you say that, and I don't know who Alan is. My name is Adam, for copyright reasons. But
sorry, I forgot about that. I was thinking about my cousin Adam, who is very similar to you in the fact that his voice is completely different and he looks completely different.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Tell us about your time when you decided to change your personal, your appearance in the media to put on a Birmingham accent. When did that come about?
Well, I was trying to think of something that would make me as unlikable as possible, and I went through many different phases actually that people don't remember. I mean, links to the far right, links to the far left, getting photographed with famous war criminals. And finally I arrived at the Birmingham accent, and it really seemed to annoy people.
Just rile up the crowd, man.
I'm the only person in history who has been cancelled on social media twice, and the first time ruined my career. But the second time, if you get cancelled twice, it actually has a cancelling out effect.
So that you're more famous for it?
I was cancelled. So it actually rose my profile, and I'm currently on 50,000 from the BBCB that we're working for.
Yeah, it's not quite what I'm on, man, but that's all right. You got your pay stars a little bit more. Now, we've talked too much about indoor rumple netball without referencing our show, Indoor Rumple Netball of the Day. It's a fantastic show that is on BBC Four every third Wednesday of April of the year. So every third Wednesday of April we get the yearly round down of Indoor Rumple Netball Day of the day. Pardon my French.
Yeah.
Now, what I'd like to know first is just for the average listener, What happens in the first half of indoor rumple netball that is so different to the second half of a game of indoor rumple netball?
Well, as you know, it's like two completely different games. What happens is that in the first
but
half...
not, indoor rumple and netball. They're not two different games. But in indoor rumple netball, it's like two different games. That aren't those two games.
Indoor rumple netball. So what happens is, at the beginning, the referee, whom we call the bird of song, sings this lovely little song. I'll do a little bit for you now. He sings this lovely little song.
Same every week.
He goes, "Come here now, help us play. Come to us, play today." You know, and it goes on like that. It's incredibly banal and boring song. But
that's the first 15 minutes of the game, though. When he's trying to do the song.
Well, it's like doing the national anthem in football. You know, you have to do it because otherwise it's not the same game. Anyway, after he sings that song, he goes straight into the crowd and he elects a rumple. And the rumple has to come on dressed. He looks a bit like a town crier. Robes, special hat, feathers, bra on the outside.
Well, do you remember the famous match at the O2 when Gary Barlow was picked as the rumple for that evening? And he went quite to town on that role, didn't he?
I do remember that, yes.
We've got our bird of song in the referee. We've got our rumple, in this case Gary Barlow. That's all pre-game stuff. Now, like, what actually happens in that first half of play?
So what happens is we have three balls: tennis, basket, and cricket. Tennis ball, cricket ball, basketball. And they get thrown right to the centre of the pitch by specially elected members of the community. Just to give you an example, the most recent game, the members of the community were a 4-year-old girl,
she was class,
Ed Sheeran, and David Beckham. The 4-year-old girl was the daughter of both. And they come forward and they each hold one of the balls, they throw them into the air and run out of the pitch as fast as they possibly can in order to avoid any sort of injury, because as we all know, it is a violent game, it's a dirty game, but played by professionals, and that's the point. And if you ask me, 4-year-olds have no place on a pitch where so many razor blades are going to be used. But
yeah, too right.
Each player takes out their foldable razor blade. No switchblades are to
well, that's a violation, isn't it?
That's a violation straight
I remember when Scott McTominay in 1729, he brought out a switchblade, and I'm pretty sure the rumple cut his head off.
Well, he did, because there's no other way you can do it. There's no other way you can play the game. They take out their razor blades, and there's then a tussle between the two teams to see who can get possession of at least 2 of the balls, because that is majority possession. It's all about, say it with me, it's all about
majority possession.
Majority possession. And what you do is, you take the ball, you slit it open, you make a slit with your razor blade, and you stick it on your nose. And once you stick it on your nose, you become an indoor rumple netball possessor, right?
That's important, because there's a big difference between a possessor and an instigator, which we'll get into later. But yeah, just remember the difference.
So if you have majority possession and you are an indoor rumple netball possessor, at that point you can start beating up the nearest player to you, as long as they are on the opposing team. You may not beat up a member of your own team, no matter how big his moustache is. Because as we know, you have to have a moustache, and it doesn't matter how big it is. But if you have a bigger moustache, and if it is an unusual colour, which is happening more and more nowadays,
yeah, it's a modern game, isn't it?
Bigger target. The only way you can't get tackled, the only way you can't get beaten up, is if you have possession of one of the balls. And if you have possession of more than one ball on your own, you may hold it. You may hold one in your hand, or 2 if you're lucky enough to have all 3, and you put one over your nose. Now, the majority of the first half is all about which team has majority possession and therefore can beat up the most members of the opposing team. Now, this is very interesting. Take the match 3 years ago between the Leicester Bunnies and the
Mud Slappers, old Stephen Hawkins team.
The Nottingham Mud Slappers. What happened in that game is neither team had majority possession. One of the balls got lost in the crowd because you're not allowed any spare balls in the game. So what should have happened, I said this at the time, is that the referee should have halted play and not allowed any more bloodshed. But he didn't.
They let play go on.
That is how we ended up with the bloodbath that ensued. The first half of the game comes to an end when the team with majority possession has rendered all members of the opposing team unconscious or has produced at least 3 broken bones, separate broken bones.
On each player.
On each player. That's a very important.
Now, I don't like to brag, but I must say that I am actually the most decorated broken bone player in the history of indoor rugby netball. I have broken 87 bones in my left leg in one season, and overall my numbers span into the thousands. Now, I like to have a bit of banter with you on the show about this, but you haven't quite got that 1,000 yet, have you?
No.
Mr. 998.
Still on 998, I'm afraid. But if I had a penny for every day someone sends me a message on social media saying still not caught up with Adam, I would be a millionaire now. Of course, I don't need to be a millionaire. I've got my enormous pay packet just here. But
not quite as big as mine, though, is it?
No.
Now, into the second half of the game, you have what can only be described as one team remaining. But the interesting thing about indoor rugby netball, it's not about whose team you're on. It's about how many points you can collect. Now, at this point, obviously, the other team is immobile, and they leave the pitch. Now, in the second half, what happens is any semblance of a game falls away, and we create a democratic society. So you've got your indoor rugby netball possessors. They take the role of the jury, and each of the other players has to come up to him and say, look, I think I should be in your gang because I've really tried hard. And they have to say, like, I broke so many bones, I stabbed so many people with a razor blade. Now, the indoor rugby netball possessors have to, out of the other players, pick one instigator. Now, the instigator's role is to brutally execute all the people who don't quite make the cut. So, in a way, it's better to lose a game. That's why we got so far in our career. Because if you're not either indoor rugby netball possessor or instigator, you are executing on site. Now, I'd like to hear your opinion on this. In 1982, we moved away from the old school axe to a guillotine. Do you think that affected gameplay?
I think it did affect gameplay. A lot of people talk about the transition in sport from the traditional to the more mechanical. You know, there's a lot of controversy about VAR and digital scoring systems and all that, and the guillotine is an example of that. What I would say is that sport has to move with the times. It has to move with the times, and if it doesn't move with the times, then it's behind the times. And what happens then? You're behind the times, and people who are ahead of the time or who are in line with the time that is still going on but have moved with it when it moved in the first place are looking at our game and saying, well, hang on a second, I've been moving with the times as it's been progressing bit by bit, and this game seems to me almost quaint because it has refused to move along with time at the rate at which I do, and this relic is not for me anymore, which is a real shame. It's a real shame.
See, I have to disagree with you, man. I think the axe, it had a certain level of nostalgia, and it was when the game was in its heyday. Since then, you've seen the numbers. People came for the axe killings, and honestly, we're getting less funding because there's only one big guillotine company. We're getting less new players into the game who wanted to die by axe, not by the guillotine, and we're losing out on real talent that could really create the next Derek Marvel. As we know, Derek Marvel is the most decorated indoor rumble netball player of all time, and he will be on next year's show on the third Wednesday of April 2022. Now, obviously, we can disagree all we like, Barry, but the fact of the matter is, once you've got your 3 indoor rumble netball possessors and your instigator, that's when the big finale starts. And as a veteran of that part of the game, I think it's only fair that I pass over to you to explain how the game ends and we pick a winner.
That's right. Well, in this final section, it all comes together, and it's usually the part that makes the crowd the most tense. At this point in the game, whatever players are left move to the middle of the field, and a coin is tossed by the captain, and a choice is called out, head or tails, and whoever wins that is then able to walk on the tightrope. Now, newcomers to the game might be saying, well, why is it now on an individual basis instead of on a team basis? And why is it decided on something as luck-based as a coin toss? And to them, I say, well, in the end, that's life, isn't it? It's about
too right, man. Too right.
If I were a dog, I would eat my fellow dog. If I were a dog, let's say I'm a Labrador, just for argument's sake.
And I'm a golden retriever.
I'm walking along the road, and I see a golden retriever. I see you.
That's me.
And I see you've got a lovely bit.
Thing is, I don't mean to brag, but you would hear me before you saw me. Because even as a golden retriever, when I walk down the street, they'll go, Gira, Gira. Look, he's turned himself into a golden retriever. So I think that's factually inaccurate, if I'm honest, and I have to disagree with your analysis there. But please continue.
So, if I saw you and you had a little bit of meat in your mouth and I was a dog, I would immediately go for that meat. And I wouldn't stop there. I would then realise that you yourself are meat and I would eat you. And that would be dog eat dog. And that is what survival is all about. And that is why I will survive and you wouldn't. In that imaginary scenario. I don't mean in real life.
I mean, obviously in real life, because I've got more broken bones than you, so obviously that makes me the more decorated player. So obviously I would eat you, your dog in this situation, wouldn't that? But Barry,
I don't think you could eat my dog, Adam. I don't think you could eat my dog.
I'm pretty sure I could, man. Actually,
very big, very strong, very strong. Oh,
sorry. How many indoor rumble netball possessed tokens did you get in your career? They were half what I got, man.
I don't think it's about this. Look, tokens or no tokens, I think the problem here is that if I showed you my dog, and my dog is a big brute, he's been trained, I feed him raw meat every day, I throw it at the wall at a picture of your face and say, get him, gearer, get him, get that gearer, I think he would be able to take you. Take you.
Yeah, but even if he took me, I've broken all my bones, so like, if he hurt me, I'd just be like, stop it, please.
27. I've got 27 tokens, and what of it?
All I know is a Nintendo Switch costs 30 tokens, and I've got 4 of them. So I don't know what you're chatting, man. If I'm honest, I feel like this show's broken down because of your attitude towards the game. And people might never know how an indoor rumble netball game ends. And that's your fault, Barry.
Do you know how many people are watching this, Adam?
I'm not too sure, Barry.
BBC 4, every third Wednesday of April. Do you know how many people are watching this?
No.
Producer told me before we came on. Our average viewing figures, do you know what they are?
What are they?
-1.
Is that because of that lady who died last year?
You know damn well it is, Adam.
And that is why we dedicated this show to old Maureen Cheselwick, who was the only fan of the sport, but she was also a massive eccentric billionaire. So because of her love of the sport, she kept it going for a fantastic 40-odd years. And with that, I'd like to say goodbye to you, Barry. Goodbye to me. And goodbye to Maureen.
She was an amazing woman.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Thank you for listening to this episode of the RiffRaff.